Okay, well, welcome to Warhams 101. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to describe how to assemble, well, take a model off the sprue, how to assemble it, and how to clean it. This will be a plastic model. Very quickly and easily. Now, before we start, we need a couple of things. We need models. I'm going to use the Assault on Black Reach models. We need something to get the models off the sprue, and that can be an X-Acto, although this isn't the optimal tool. Or it could be a pair of these clippers. Now these are good because they're flat. They've got a nice flat edge right here, and they're very good for clipping things, plastic things off the sprues. Normal clippers, like wire cutters, don't have this flat edge right here, and they don't make as clean of a cut, and it leaves a little bit more to take off. Okay, so I guess we should talk about the tools. We have clippers, we've got X-Actos. I've got several kinds of X-Actos here. Okay, that was the clippers. I've got this on a tripod, so if something's off camera, I apologize. Anyway, so we've got a few kinds of X-Actos. I've got this nice straight triangular X-Acto. I've got this, I don't know what to call that, curved blade X-Acto. And then I'm not going to use this today, but this is kind of cool. You can get various blades for your X-Acto. This is a little saw blade, which if you don't have a jeweler's saw, is pretty handy for making simple cuts. Anyway. I also have a supply of replacement blades. Now, the cleaning up the models is going to make these blades very dull. So whenever your blades get dull, don't throw them away. Set them aside and use those for cleaning up mold lines. Okay. We also have some mini files. I have a different kind of X-Acto here. It's kind of neat. It's a lot easier on your fingers. Okay, a lot easier to hold. If you're doing a lot of cleaning, my hands get all messed up. Oh, and these are not from the X-Actos. Anyway, let's see. And then I also have, if you can get it, these are really cool tools. These are dental scalers. Sometimes you can find them in hardware stores, or if you go to your dentist and ask them, sometimes they will give you their old tools. But you have to ask, obviously. Okay, so what do we do next? We need to clip the model off the sprue. Now, though, how do you do that? There's some things you want to keep in mind. These, you want to take a look at the points. You want to look at the points where the model is attached to the sprue, and you want to pay attention to that, okay? Make sure that you're not clipping off a part of the model. Sometimes it's hard to tell. The other thing are these plastic models here have this base guide, I guess for lack of a better term, in between their feet, and that is for the slotted bases. You don't want to clip that off. It's not the end of the world if you do. You'll just have to pin it to the base, but it's better if you leave it. Okay, so keeping in mind, you want to try to leave as little of the sprue on the model as possible. So where's my camera? Okay, here we go. So I'm trying to clip it so that you can see. You want the flat of the clippers to go against the model, and then you just simply clip. You see how that makes a nice clean cut. Okay. Do the same thing over here on the feet. There you go. That's why I love these clippers. So now what we have is, well, that one I didn't get as close as I could, but you've got a relatively clean model. Okay, set that aside. So now what do these different X-Actos do? This triangular one is good for flat surfaces, and the curved one is good for curved surfaces like shoulders of models, like right here. It's good for shoulder pads on Marines. And the reason is because of this curve right here, it minimizes the the surface of the blade against the model, and it doesn't make little flat spots on your curved surfaces. So if you don't have this, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. It's kind of the advanced thing. Okay, the cat's meowing in the background. Yeah, I know. She thinks I'm talking to her. Okay, anyway, so you want to clean those mold lines off. Mold lines, mold lines, mold lines. Now, you don't want to do it by cutting away unless there's a big hunk of material like this, in which case, where's the middle of the camera? Okay, in which case you can go ahead and just cut that right off. But you don't want to do that over here on the model because you'll end up cutting chunks of the model off. So you can either, the way I like to do it is I take the X-Acto, use the flat of the blade, okay, and well, this is the opposite direction. You want to basically turn it like that. I know it's hard to see, and just scrape like that, okay? So you're at about a 45-degree angle, scrape really, really, really lightly. Now I do have a little ridge of material there I'm gonna use the blade for. Okay, so as you can see, hopefully, there you go. I've scraped away some of that mold line. Now I can use this curved blade too, and that will help prevent flat areas. Okay, so like maybe on the shoulder right here, I'm gonna use my curved blade. But again, doesn't really matter if you don't. Blow away the dust. The triangular blades are easier to get in there. And you do that. Okay, now on flat surfaces like this gun, well, it doesn't have any flash on it, does it? Or a chainsword, rather. On flat surfaces like, oh, here you go, other side of the shoulder. It's the same thing. Okay, now I'm not going to do the whole thing, you'll be terribly bored. So this X-Acto that I was telling you about is kind of cool since it is easier to hold. I actually have to adjust it a little bit off center. It's very easy to hold. It's very, it's not as strenuous on the fingers, and etc, etc. You just go ahead and do it. Now if you have a big piece of flash on here on the bottom of the foot, who cares? It's going to be under the base, right? So just like that. Now, can you use a file? Of course you can. You just do the same thing. Well, no, not the same thing. You just take a file and you file away the flash on the plastic model. Just like that. Now, what I don't like about the files on plastic is that it leaves this little bit of, I don't know what you call it, scraped plastic away, or it leaves a little bit of scraped plastic that you have to go back and clean up anyway. So I prefer to just use the X-Acto from the beginning, but if you want to use a file, it is a little bit faster if you're looking to save some time. Okay, so now if it was a metal model, you don't want to use the X-Actos because you'll just ruin the X-Acto and you won't get very far. If it was a metal model, which I don't unfortunately have any right here, you just use the files. So we'll pretend it's metal, and you wouldn't have to worry about cleaning up the little shavings that get left behind by the file. Also, if it's a metal model, that's where these dental scalers come in handy. A lot of times in between near surfaces like this on a metal model, you'll get a little bit of flash in between there. These dental scalers are really good for getting in there and scraping the flash out of a little tiny areas like this. You can use an X-Acto, but you're going to ruin your blade really badly. So that's why I use these. But you don't have to. Blades are cheap. You can use these no problem. Okay, so that probably sounded really stupid, but this is my first time doing one of these instructional videos. Hopefully this at least answered some of the technical questions as far as exactly what you do with an X-Acto to clean these mold lines without ruining the model. Okay, happy warhamming!